Hi, I'm Jeremy. Today I'm going to talk about how we implement automated tests against Windows applications. The subtitle says, Drive Windows applications using Selenium. Actually, we do not directly use Selenium server or driver to drive our applications. Instead, as you can see, we reuse existing Selenium clients to interact with a newly created driver or server called WinAppDriver, which is dedicated to Windows applications. As a test developer, and because of multi-platform release strategy, chances are that you have to implement automated tests against Windows applications, in addition to Android, iOS, web, and even OS X applications. Here, Windows applications generally refers to applications based on various UI frameworks, including Win32, DirectUI, WinForms, Silverlight, .pf, and XAML, etc. XAML can also be used in Windows Store apps and Windows Phone apps. In addition, we should also take hybrid applications into account. There are applications having a native wrapper around a web view for desktop applications, such as Slack and Spotify for desktop. It is usually implemented with CF. Looking for available testing tools, you may find most of them, such as AutoIt, only supports Win32 applications. For WinForms, .pf, Silverlight, and XAML, the answer would be UAutomation or UIA. There are testing tools based on UIA. White is an open source framework, and a coded UI test, or CYT, is only available in Visual Studio Premium or Ultimate. Let's take the Twitter apps as an example. Here is a snippet written in C# showing the usage of UI client API. As you can see, you have to locate the UI element with a certain condition first. Before you can interact with it, you have to retrieve a specific pattern supported by the element. The problem with the API is that it's relatively verbose, and the API alone is not able to inject native input events. For example, the setValue method does not trigger keyboard events, and the invoke method does not move the mouse pointer and trigger a mouse click event. To simulate a user interaction, we have to trigger native input events programmatically. Here is the architecture of WebDriver, WinAppDriver. Inspired by the design of Appian, what we want to do is encapsulate the verbosity and the tricks and expose a well-known WebDriver API to test developers. Because there is no existing open source tool like this, we started the development of WinAppDriver. WinAppDriver is a WebDriver implementation for Windows applications. Currently, it supports desktop applications and Windows Store apps. Support of CF-based desktop applications and Windows Phone apps is also planned. Here is the philosophy of WinAppDriver. First, as a testing tool, it's important to have as few dependencies as possible. Secondly, application under test and test code does not have to run on the same machine. Thirdly, test developers have the freedom of choice in their program languages and testing frameworks. Lastly, inject native input events to simulate user interaction whenever it is possible. With WinAppDriver, the previous snippet can be rewritten in Python and used in the WebDriver API. Obviously, the test code becomes more succinct and easy to read. If you are already familiar with WebDriver API, apart from the desired capability dedicated to WinAppDriver, it looks like test code for web applications. And here is the screen recording. You may notice that your elements that match a certain condition are temporarily highlighted. This is a feature of WinAppDriver to help visualize the search result. WebDriver also tries very hard to simulate user interaction. For text inputs, WebDriver sends a sequence of keyboard events, and therefore the cursor moves accordingly while typing. For the mouse click, WebDriver moves the pointer to that point and then sends a click event. So most commands defined in JSON wire protocol that are relevant to desktop applications or store apps have been implemented. Hope that this tool will make our life more easier if we are asked to implement automated tests against Windows applications. So give it a try. To get started, follow the instruction described in Getting Started wiki page. Install WebDriver and try it out. And